Yo, when I tell y'all I was just in the bathroom for 5 minutes, I closed the door when I go in the bathroom because he literally would come in there, get in the toilet, get in the shower, get in everything. So I closed the bathroom door when I'm using it. I come out, I go look in my room. I'm looking in the living room. I'm looking in his room, for God's sake. And he's in here. I can't believe my baby is gone. Like, I can't believe that this is happening to me. I never had this happen to me before.
It was late at night when Taylor's phone buzzed. She was at work, tired, probably thinking about getting home, maybe making a little extra money to take care of her baby boy. The message was from her neighbor. Her friend, the woman she trusted with the most precious thing in her world. It said Kyrie had gotten into the bathroom and was eating a bar of soap. Taylor read the message and probably rolled her eyes the way every young mom does when a toddler does something ridiculous. She even replied, patient, understanding, defending her son the way mothers always do. She had no idea that while she was texting back, her baby was already fighting for his life. She had no idea that the woman who sent that message had not called an ambulance, had not panicked, had not done what any normal person would do in a crisis. Instead, she picked up her phone, took a photo of his swollen, injured face, and sent it to his mother like a warning. What Taylor discovered when she finally made it home that night, and what doctors found when they examined her son, would leave an entire community shattered. But what investigators would eventually uncover was far more disturbing than anyone expected. You're watching morbid true crimes, psychological true crime documentaries. Like, subscribe and share for in-depth stories that uncover the mind behind the crime.
And went all through the time. What is that hanging from me? A booger. Dang, it's a big booger too.
His name was Kyrie Carter Muhammad Starks, and if you had met him, you would have loved him immediately. He was 1 year old, almost 2, full of energy, full of curiosity, the kind of little boy who could not sit still because the whole world was too interesting. His mother used to brag about him the way new moms do, with pure, unfiltered pride. He's only 1, and he knows how to count to 5. Just a baby, learning numbers, discovering the world, completely dependent on the adults around him to keep him safe. His mother, Taylor Starks, was 18 years old when her world revolved entirely around that little boy. Young, yes, but fiercely devoted. She was working, building a life, doing everything a mother is supposed to do. By all accounts, Kyrie was healthy, happy, and deeply loved. He had his whole life in front of him, and he had no idea that the person his mother left him with did not see him the way his mother did. In the spring of 2022, Taylor Starks made a move she hoped would be a fresh start. She relocated from Warren to Roseville, Michigan, a small city in Macomb County, northeast of Detroit. Nothing glamorous, just a working-class apartment complex on Little Mac Avenue near 13 Mile Road. It was the kind of place where neighbors know each other, where kids run around outside, where people look out for each other. Or at least, that's what Taylor believed. She met Kimora Hodges almost immediately after moving in. Kimora lived upstairs with her boyfriend. She was young, around 21. She seemed warm. She seemed like a friend. Within weeks, the two women had built what looked like a genuine friendship, and Kimora had begun watching Kyrie regularly. Sometimes while Taylor picked up shifts at a local restaurant in East Point. To Taylor, this was a blessing. Finding reliable childcare as a young single mother is hard, and Kimora lived right upstairs. She had no reason to worry. No one in that apartment complex could have imagined what was about to happen. June 13th, 2022. A Monday evening, Taylor headed to work. Her shift was at a restaurant in East Point, starting around 8 p.m. She left Kyrie with Kimora, the same way she had done before, said goodbye, went to earn a living for her son. At first, the night seemed ordinary, but then the text started. Kimora sent Taylor a message while she was at work. She was venting, frustrated, complaining that Kyrie was being too sneaky, too difficult, that she couldn't even take a nap while he was there without him getting into things. She said she wanted this to be her last time watching him. Taylor read the message and responded the way she always did, calmly, with grace. She explained that Kyrie was almost 2, that the terrible twos were kicking in, that toddlers are toddlers. She even apologized, saying she didn't want him to be a burden to anyone. Kimora fired back. She told Taylor she was too soft on her son, that Kyrie was too smart, that she had been raised very different and strict, and that his behavior bothered her when he did things he knew he wasn't supposed to do. Read that again. A grown woman telling a teenage mother that her 1-year-old boy bothers her. Taylor had no way of knowing what those words really meant. She had no way of knowing what had already happened in that apartment. And then, hours later, well past midnight, closer to 2 a.m., Kimora sent something else. Not a message this time. A photo. A photo of Kyrie's face, one eye closed, swelling visible around the other, and with it, a story about soap. About Kyrie sneaking into the bathroom and chewing on a bar of dial soap. About an allergic reaction. Taylor didn't question it. She left work immediately and rushed home. What Taylor found when she walked through that door was not a toddler with an upset stomach from eating soap. Once I made it there, my baby was on the ground having seizure after seizure after seizure. She said those words later, in front of cameras, her voice still carrying the weight of that night. You could hear it. You could feel it.
I get a text from her, like, earlier in the day, the beginning of my shift, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch him anymore because now I'm going to really be trying to get a real job, and he's becoming too much. He's so sneaky. He keep getting into stuff, and you need to really try to find somebody else that'll be able to keep him as much as I'm keeping him. So I texted her back then, and I told her, I'm like, okay, well, I will find somebody else to watch, and I have to work the next day as well. So I'm like, okay, tomorrow you won't even have to worry about him. I'll make sure I got somebody else to watch him. So then she sent me another text around 10 o'clock. I think it was 10:30 or whatever. It was like, yeah, this is what I mean. He got into some soap and he ate some soap while he in the tub. I had to dig it out his mouth. He's really becoming really bad and I can't watch him no more. This and that. I'm like, okay, well, I get off. Right before I got off, I told you, I was planning to leave early anyway. So she sent me another text at 1:21 in the morning. She sent me a text of my baby face bruised, his whole side of his face was bruised up. It'd be kind of touchy for me to tell the story, especially since I'm pregnant, my hormones is high. So she sent me a picture of my baby face, really bruised up and beat up, and I'm just looking what the heck? She was like, I think he's having an allergic reaction from the soap I had to dig out his mouth earlier. So when she told me that, I lost it. As soon as I got there, I ran straight into the apartment, straight upstairs. And when I walked in the apartment, I see my baby laying on her kitchen floor. Mind you, when she sent me the picture of my baby, he was in the bed. She sent me a picture of when I walked in, I see my baby just laying on the kitchen floor, just twitching like he was having seizures, whatever. And one of his eyes was popped out it was, and I'm screaming his name Kyrie, 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 mommy here, Kyrie, 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 and he's not responding to me at all.
She grabbed Kyrie and rushed him to the hospital. At Ascension St. John, the doctors took one look at him, and everything changed. The swollen eye, the seizures, the unresponsiveness. This was not an allergic reaction. This was not soap. The medical team immediately suspected severe child abuse. Doctors told Taylor that Kyrie's brain was swelling badly and bleeding, that he needed emergency surgery right away, that without it, he would not survive the night. The surgeon told her that even if he made it through surgery, he might never be the same again. Taylor agreed to the surgery, and then she waited. While Kyrie fought for his life in the hospital, investigators began working the case. The injuries were severe. The timeline made no sense. And the story Kimora had told about soap, about an allergic reaction, collapsed the moment doctors looked at this child. A 1-year-old boy does not develop a subdural hemorrhage from eating soap. He does not develop bilateral retinal hemorrhages, bleeding behind both eyes from an allergic reaction. Those are the kinds of injuries that come from extreme force, from violent shaking, from blunt trauma to the head. Investigators noted something else that was chilling. Based on the nature and severity of Kyrie's injuries, doctors believe the trauma had likely occurred hours before he was brought to the hospital. Hours. meaning there was a window where someone could have called for help, could have gotten Kyrie to a doctor in time, could have given him a fighting chance. That call never came. Instead, someone had waited and thought and decided to craft a cover story first, and then texted a photo to his mother. There was really only one person in that apartment that night, Kimora Hodges. But investigators were still building their case, piecing together the phone records, the timeline, the medical evidence, the statements. What they found was a portrait of someone who had tried very hard to control the narrative. The soap story, the texts to Taylor, the photo of Kyrie's face sent like a warning rather than an emergency. None of it pointed toward innocence. All of it pointed toward someone managing a situation, not reacting to one. And then there were her own words. The texts she had sent Taylor that evening, talking about how Kyrie's behavior bothered her, how he was too sneaky, how she had been raised strict and could not tolerate his behavior. Investigators looked at those texts and saw something Taylor, in her shock and grief, had not yet been able to process. A motive. Kimora Hodges was taken in for questioning. What followed was a long interrogation, nearly 3 hours, in which she slowly, painfully began to unravel. She sobbed, she denied, she deflected. But then came the moment that shifted everything. "You all just want me to say I put my anger on him," she told Detective Menas Hustalakis through tears. "That's not what it is." She followed it up with something even more damning. "Maybe I hit him too hard, but I didn't take my anger out on him. Maybe I hit him too hard." A 1-year-old boy fighting for his life in the ICU. Brain bleeding, skull fractured, and the person responsible was saying, maybe she hit him too hard. Here's what investigators came to believe happened on the night of June 13, 2022. Kyrie was in Kimora's care. He was being a toddler, curious, energetic, not listening the way Kimora wanted him to. And Kimora, who had already told his mother she didn't like his behavior, who had already said she was raised very different and strict, reached a breaking point. She hurt him. She hurt him badly. The force was enough to cause a traumatic brain injury. Doctors described it as an impact so severe it caused Kyrie's brain to rock back and forth inside his skull, leading to bleeding and swelling that his tiny body simply could not survive. After it happened, Kimora did not call 911. She did not rush him to the hospital. She waited, and she thought, and she came up with a story. Then, hours later, she sent Taylor a text about soap and a photo of her son's broken face. Kimora Hodges was arrested and charged with first-degree felony murder and first-degree child abuse. In the interrogation room, she had been visibly emotional, crying, expressing what looked like remorse. Roseville Police Chief Ryan Monroe later confirmed she had been cooperative and regretful. "She's been very cooperative and very remorseful for her actions," he said. "But it obviously doesn't take it back." Her defense attorney, Marielle Lehman, fought hard. She argued that Hodges had requested a lawyer during questioning and that investigators had not honored that request. The case went through years of appeals over whether certain statements could be used at trial. The legal battle stretched on for nearly 3 years. Meanwhile, Kyrie's mother was left to grieve, alone, without answers, without closure. "She still hasn't told anybody exactly what she did to my baby." In July of 2025, Kimora Hodges finally stood trial in Macomb County Circuit Court before Judge Diane Druzinski. The trial lasted 5 days. The prosecution laid out the medical evidence, the subdural hemorrhage, the retinal hemorrhages, the traumatic brain injury consistent with violent force. They laid out the timeline, the delayed call for help, the cover story, the texts, and they played out Kimora's own words from that interrogation room. "Maybe I hit him too hard." The defense argued, motions were filed, evidence was debated. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty, first-degree felony murder, first-degree child abuse. On sentencing day, Taylor Starks stood up in that courtroom. She was 22 years old, a young woman who had become a mother at 17, lost her baby at 18, and spent 3 years fighting for justice. She looked at Kimora Hodges and said something that stopped the entire room. "I don't have any hate in my heart for you, but I don't think you have an ounce of accountability or any love in your heart that you claim to have for me and my son." She talked about giving grace, about how she had tried over and over to believe the best in someone who had taken the worst possible action. I hate that we had to take this road. To this day, I do not have hate in my heart for her, and I honestly do wish her the best. Judge Drzinski, visibly moved, looked at Taylor and said, I remember pictures of your son. He was a beautiful boy. And to stand here and say that you have no hate in your heart is just remarkable to me. You're wise beyond your years. On November 5th, 2025, Kimora Hodges was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She also received 15 to 40 years for the child abuse conviction.
And I am deeply sorry. I didn't mean to prolong this case for 3 years, but I also wanted to fight for my life to prove that I am not what these charges say I am. I have to live with this my entire life.
On count 2, the felony murder, you are sentenced to the Department of Corrections for a period of life.
Yeah, I'm gonna come to that.
Outside the courtroom, Taylor Starks celebrated. Not in cruelty, not in anger, but in relief. In the kind of joy that only comes when you have waited 3 years for someone to be held accountable for the worst moment of your life. Justice, she said, had finally been served. In the months and years after Kyrie's death, Taylor carried her grief publicly, posting about her pain, her loss, her transformation. On July 12, 2022, just weeks after her son died, she wrote, The day Kyrie died, I became somebody new, a totally different person, someone I never knew. The only thing that hasn't changed is the spelling of my name. She spoke about crying more than she ever had, about a heart that hurt every single day, about becoming, in her own words, a grieving mother. But life, as it sometimes does, surprised her. Taylor eventually became pregnant again. She admitted it was terrifying at first, that after Kyrie, she had believed he would be her only child, that she had not planned to become a mother again, that the fear of motherhood after such a devastating loss had once felt impossible to face. But she said she came to see the new pregnancy differently. She called it a blessing from God. She said her baby was heaven-sent, arriving at exactly the right moment. Because even in the darkest aftermath of a tragedy like this, life finds a way to continue. And somewhere, in whatever comes next, Taylor Starks is still Kyrie's mother. She always will be.
The most difficult part was accepting that I'm about to have a new kid, because if y'all ever seen any interviews of me or any video clips or anything, I always stated and said like I did not want to have any more kids. Like Kyrie was going to be my only baby. I didn't want to take on motherhood or nothing like that again, because I didn't know how I would like handle it. And I feel like that was another difficult part about accepting it. Is like, bro, it's like kind of scary at first. Like when I first found out I was pregnant and I decided to keep my baby, because of course, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I had abortions. Not abortions, but I had an abortion after Kyrie, because like I said, I didn't want no more kids. I didn't want to have to take on that again. But I'm like, I'm not about to keep aborting kids, because for one, that's a blessing from God. Literally sent from God for you to have kids, because a lot of people out here, they can't have kids. So for God to bless me with another kid after losing one, then I feel like it was meant to be. And that was just like a difficult part. It was like a little scary, a little fright that came with it, but that was the difficult part. The best part about accepting a new kid is learning and accepting that this is a blessing God is blessing me with. Like, I'm not gonna say I had the best pregnancy. Like, my pregnancy really been like up and down. I really ain't starting enjoying it and being happy really towards like the end of it. And I always tell myself, like, even during the hard times of my pregnancy, like, when I have my baby, everything is going to click. Like, the day I'm in that labor and delivery room and I push out my kid, like, everything is going to click. So I feel like that's the best part about learning that I was going to have a new baby. And most importantly, like I said, any baby from God is a blessing. So I really feel like the child I'm about to have is heaven sent, because it's coming at a perfect time. Like, everything just makes sense right now for me to have another kid. And that's why I accepted, like, oh yeah, I'm about to have another baby. And that's the best part.
Thank you for watching Morbid True Crime. If this story made you think, consider liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it, because understanding the crime is how we prevent the next one. Kyrie Starks was 22 months old. He knew how to count to 5. He had his whole life ahead of him. And the one person who was supposed to keep him safe decided her frustration mattered more than his survival. Some questions may never fully be answered, but one thing is certain: Kyrie's story will not be forgotten. And thanks to the strength of his mother, the world now knows his name.
Hey y'all, I went to court today, and for those who don't know what I'm going to court for, my son was taken from me in June of 2022. It is not October 2025. For those who have been keeping up with my case and things that I've been updating y'all on, y'all know I finally took it to trial. We finally went to trial this July, this summer. So and this is just a quick update or timeline on everything that's been going on. Before we even took it to trial this summer, 2.5 years prior, I've been trying to give her some type of grace and come to an agreement of a plea deal, because I did not want her to spend her whole life in jail. I said this multiple times. I did not want to be responsible for taking somebody's life for them. But she did not accept that. She did not agree with that, so she wanted to take it to trial, thinking she would keep her whole entire life or get off scotch-free. So you know what we did? We took it to the trial, and you guess what happened? She lost. She was found guilty on 2 counts. July 22nd is when she was found guilty on the 2 counts. The first count was first degree, you know what, and then the second count was first degree child abuse. So those were she found guilty on, and then we supposed to come back in this month today, October 2nd, to get her sentencing. But you know it takes time, so from July to October, she had to meet with the pretrial officer, all things like that, to go over her sentence so they can give the judge a good calculation of what they think she should have. So she did all that. They did all that. Today we get to court. We're supposed to be sentencing. I get on the stand. I have a few words I can say to her, the judge, everything like that. We get into court today. Her lawyers, I guess they approached my lawyer. I'm not really sure because I wasn't present for the words exchange or whatever the case may be. But they tell her, basically said that, oh, we're going to adjourn court for another 2 weeks because she put a statement in her pretrial papers or whatever the case may be, and she don't want that to get out in court today. So she want to get a new report on it. And then they was like, well, if she just want to take out what she said, we could just take out what she said right now and get to the sentencing. But she said, her lawyer said that her client wants the court to get adjourned. So that's what she's going to have to try to do because that's what she's paid to do. And if you don't know what adjourn mean, that means get pushed back for another later date, as if we haven't been doing this for years now. Basically, I feel like, and other people around me that's working with me also feel like she's just trying to avoid going to prison. But baby, there's no avoiding going to something that you're already going to. Like the lawyers and everybody says, it's inevitable. So you can try to push it back as much as you want, but you're going to prison, baby. You're going to prison. And I don't know exactly what she said in her report that she doesn't want to get out, but the pretrial officer, they reviewed the whole case, and from their notes, they said that she does not take accountability at all. So whatever she said that she doesn't want to get out, the pretrial officer said she just didn't take no accountability, and the pretrial officer wanted her to get the max time. But like we said, it's still up to the judge, so I don't really know what time she's going to get. And then they wanted to know, since they're going to push it back for 2 weeks because legally they have to, they wanted to know if I wanted to go on the stand today and say something or just wait until then. Or I can say something today or then. So y'all know what I chose to do? I chose to get up there and say something to her today. And when I got up there, you know, if you watch any court shows or anything like that, you really have to reference the judge. I just found that out myself today, and then instead of the defendant or whatever the case may be. So I wasn't even able to look her in her face like I wanted to. I wanted to have direct eye contact with her, but I was able to do that. I had to look at the judge and basically talk to her. I didn't write anything up or anything like that because I didn't want it to seem like I was reading from a script. Not only did I want her to hear me, I wanted her to feel everything that I had to say regarding her and my son, because it's been years and years of me thinking what I'm going to say when I finally got the chance. So even though I have to wait another 2 weeks to find out what she's sentenced or how long she's going to be in jail, I still took the opportunity to say what I wanted to say to her. And that's exactly what I did. And literally a lot of people in the court, everybody commended me on what I said, because like if y'all been watching me, I've been saying the same things. I kind of did a little bit more today because I wanted her to actually feel what I'm saying and see where I'm coming from. So I wasn't as nice as I normally would be, because how can I be nice when you're prolonging years and years and years and years of me getting justice for my kid when I try to show you grace and you never try to show me grace at all. So I wasn't as nice as I always seem, but I was definitely in the same manner and tone that I always is. I definitely still told her that I don't have no hate in my heart towards her still or anything like that. And I actually told her I wish her the best, because like I said, in the in the pretrial officer report, they said she took no accountability. Literally, y'all, the whole time we're on trial, she took no accountability. I seen her 4-hour interrogation video. No accountability. Just deny, delusional. Denying the fact that she ever did what she did to my child. When she knows she did, she's been taking zero accountability from the jump. She thought she could even fight the case. She even thought she could fight it and take it to trial. So my bad, I had to just take a little second to get myself together, because I felt myself getting angry, and I'm not gonna do that, because you know why? I'm blessed right now. I'm flourishing in life. I'm right now on the floor playing with my son, teaching him how to crawl. I'm good, and the type of bondages that's gonna hold her for the rest of her life, because she don't want to be honest within herself. If she's gonna be honest with anybody, she's going to literally be eaten alive by her own mental and physical and spiritual state, because she keeps denying and never is going to admit what she truly did to her. And you know what? That's only going to keep her in her own. She's already going to be in prison, but that's going to keep her in her own mental jail itself. So that's just a quick little update on my son's case. And like I said, we got to go back in 2 weeks to find out her actual sentencing. Now, I do know the news was there. And I think my friends told me Macomb Daily was there, but I'm not sure. So if y'all want to read or see what I said exactly, or see how the whole court case went, I believe you could search it up online. I don't know, because I haven't searched it yet. But I just wanted to update y'all and just let y'all know, because y'all always been supportive when it comes to Kyrie. So, yeah.